Okay, in this video we're going to talk about interactive queries. So what are interactive queries? Well, they're just queries that you can dynamically interact with inside of the Proliance Analytics workspace area to create filters and do other interesting things with your queries. So here's an example of what we're going to build today. So all this is built up using a real simple query as my center of my data, and then what I've done is I've just built some interactivity around it. And this interactivity makes these queries much more useful because you can apply dynamic filters and so forth to it. So let's look at some of the components. So I've got a simple list of data, and then I have a chart. So both those were built up in queries, Proliance Query Studio. And then I've got some interactive components. I've got a project filter, and then I've also got a filter here for filtering by the priority, and then another filter that shows me what workflow state each of the RFIs is in. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this up on the fly and show you how to create a real personalized view of a query that's been published. So here I am inside of Query Studio, and I'm not going to build up the query from scratch because we've already got another video that does that, but I'll just highlight a few things here. So I built all this using the drag and drop, so it was real easy to build. But what I've done is I've added a couple columns in here, and one is this project column, and the other one is this priority column. So these are going to be items that I'm allowed to filter on. So this is counting up the number of RFIs in each workflow state, and that's what the chart is showing. So I've gone ahead and saved this query. And after you save it, you might say, well, this is great, but this isn't, when I rerun it, I don't want to have to come into Query Studio and reapply different filters to change my data. I want to do that all interactivity, and I might want to lay it out in a different way. And that's where Proliance Analytics workspaces come in. So here I am over in my workspace, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new workspace, and then just go over to My Folders. And here's that RFI by state. So this is a query that I created, and that query I just created, and I saved it over in My Folders. So if I just open this up, I'll see that there's a few things in here. Inside the page, you'll see there's that pie chart and the list chart. Okay, so I can work with these independently, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to drag my list chart over here. Now this is going to run the query, and it's going to ask me to pick a particular value. So this is important because the values I pick here are the ones that are going to be enabled inside of my filter. So I'm going to pick a couple of these in here. So these are the 4 projects that I want to be able to run this query on. But I want to run them as filters, not as a group. So I click Finish, and now it's returning all the data in here. And you'll see I'll be able to filter that out in a second. So this is fine. Don't worry that it's showing all the data as yet. Because the way I filter it is I go to my toolbox, and inside my toolbox I see this Select Value filter. So let me drag that over here and just drop that up here. So now you can see it's asking me to pick particular filters, and I've got different ones I can use here: current state, priority, and project. So I'm going to go ahead and pick project, and I want to pick a single value, and I want it as a menu option. And I click OK. And sure enough, there it is up there. And I can just make this a little bigger if I want. And this is showing me now all the projects that I've got, and I can switch it to one of the other projects, and you'll see here the data refreshes. So I've got a dynamic filter in here that's showing me the data. And the nice thing is that once I've got that filter up there, I can drag on my pie chart, for example, and it's going to hook up automatically there. See how it says Lakewood Corporate Center? And then if I change this to Lakewood Retail Commons, see, now it's running against Lakewood Retail Commons. So these are both dynamically hooked up to this one filter that I've got up here. And the nice thing is that I can do this now with some other filters. So let me go over here and let's put in a slider one now. So here's a slider value. I'm just going to drag this over to this side. And I want the slider to be the priority. Okay, so the priority, these are the values that I want to be able to put in there. And let me just keep all those in there. And it's a range of values. I'm not picking a single one. And I can click OK. And sure enough there, if I change this now to show only these 3, that's only showing those 3. And if I want just low and normal, there it is. If I want only high, I could bring that over as well. So you can see that this is showing me a range of values. Similarly, I might want a different type of range of values, but for the workflow state. Let me pull that over there. And that's the current state. And here's all the states that are valid. And I want maybe this to be a list of checkboxes. Yeah, that seems fine. And I want multiple values. So I'm going to click OK. And then now I just resize this a little bit. So let's say I don't want to see my closed ones, for example. I just take that and click OK. And now it's not showing me closed RFIs. So I can just lay this out a little bit if I'm interested in getting this a little more tightened up here. And maybe I can shrink this and move this one over. So you can see just laying out my dashboard in a way that makes sense for me. And now it's all interactive. So I can do a couple things here. I can change my project. Oh, what is it for Lakewood Corporate Center? Okay, so there's my values. I've got 3 in the answer submitted state and so forth. And then let me just go ahead and I can apply a grouping on here even. So let me group by this. There we are, and that's now that's grouping the way I want it, and group it this way. There we are. So I can see high, normal. I've got 3 high, 8 normal in the answer submitted state, and so forth. And then I can switch this into Bexville branch. Say, oh, I wonder if I just want to see maybe all these urgent ones as well. And there's an urgent one popping in. So there you go. That shows you how to create an interactive query and publish it out. So just to recap, I created my query over here, and then I saved it. And then once it was saved, I just started pulling the components over onto my analytics workspace, and then I added these interactive components to make it a little more useful. Now I can go ahead and save this dashboard and save this workspace, and then later on when I open it up, it'll all be laid out just the way I left it.